so we can figure out what the delusion truly is. Remember, truth is the diffusion of the delusion. And on that note, we're going to go right to the next subject that lines up right with the Georgia Guidestones that we were just reading about in the first half hour of the broadcast. The Age of Reason. These anonymous gentlemen claim to be believers in the Age of Reason. The Age of Reason being an investigation of true and fabulous theology by Thomas Paine, who was the Secretary for Foreign Affairs to Congress in the American War, and author of the works entitled Common Sense and Rights of Man. Is a pamphlet. American revolutionary Thomas Paine. It challenged institutionalized religion and legitimacy of the Bible. Thomas Paine was born on February the 9th, 1737. Other accounts say he was born on January the 29th, 1736. And he lived to June the 8th, 1809. He was an American and English political activist, philosopher, political theorist, and revolutionary. As the author of the two most influential pamphlets at the start of the American Revolution, he inspired the Patriots in 1776 to declare independence from Britain. Isn't that interesting? The father of the Age of Reason also inspired the Declaration of Independence in 1776, which we all know that story. His ideas reflected Enlightenment-era rhetoric of transnational human rights. He's been called a corset maker by trade, a journalist by profession, and a protagonist by inclination. He was born in Thetford, England, in the county of Norfolk. He immigrated to British American colonies in 1774 with the help of Benjamin Franklin, arriving just in time to participate in the American Revolution. Just in time. Excuse me, I had to get a drink of coffee. Virtually every patriot read or listened to a reading of his powerful pamphlet, Common Sense, in 1776, which crystallized the patriot demand for independence from Great Britain. His The American Crisis, 1776 through 83, was a pro-revolutionary pamphlet series. Common Sense was so influential that John Adams said, "Without the pen of the author of Common Sense, the sword of Washington would have been raised in vain." So understand, this fellow was kind of important in American history, right? Paine lived in France for most of the 1790s, becoming deeply involved in the French Revolution. So this man just liked revolutions, didn't he? He inspired the Patriots in 1776 to declare independence from Britain, and then went to France and inspired the French Revolution. He wrote The Rights of Man in 1791 in part of defense of the French Revolution against its critics. His attacks on British writer Edmund Burke led to a trial and conviction in absentia in 1792 for the crime of seditious libel. In 1792, despite not being able to speak French, he was elected to the French National Convention. The Girondists regarded him as an ally. Consequently, the Montagnards, especially Robespierre, regarded him as an enemy. In December of 1793, he was arrested and imprisoned in Paris, then released in 1794. He became notorious because of his pamphlet, The Age of Reason, 1793 to 94, in which he advocated deism, promoted reason and free thought, and argued against institutionalized religion in general and Christian doctrine in particular. He also wrote the pamphlet Agrarian Justice, discussing the origins of property, and introduced the concept of guaranteed minimum income. Minimum wage. This is the father of minimum wage. Guaranteed minimum income. The concept. He introduced it. In 1802, he returned to the U.S., where he died on June the 8th, 1809. Only 6 people attended his funeral, as he had been ostracized for his ridicule of Christianity. He was born January 29, 1736. He was the son of Joseph Payne, a Quaker, and Frances Cock, an Anglican in Thetford. Born Thomas Paine, P-A-I-N, despite claims that he changed his family name upon his immigration to America in 1774, he was using Payne with the E added in 1769 while still in Lewes, Sussex. So his family name is spelled P-A-I-N, Payne, and he added the E. A connection to shipping and sea explains why at late adolescence Thomas enlisted and briefly served as a privateer before returning to Britain in 1759. There became a master staymaker, established a shop in Sandwich, Kent. On September the 27th, 1759. September the 27th. You see these dates kind of lining up here? We would have to go back, wouldn't we, and see when that stone was removed. Let's see if we can figure that out. I haven't even thought about that, but if we can go back and let me find that article and see when that stone was removed. I'm looking. Well, we see September the 22nd when the local blogger reported that the stone had been installed. So when was this stone removed? There's a lot of YouTube stuff out, but here's one. And I'm actually going to play this one. It's 16 minutes long. It's a fair usage statement on the site, and I will read that before I play it. This video contains copyrighted material, the use of which has not always been specifically authorized by copyright owners. I am making such material available in an effort to educate and advance understanding of the content contained in the film section and musical accompaniment. This constitutes fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided in Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Law in accordance with Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107. The material in this video is distributed without profit and is for information, research, and educational purposes only. And I'm reading his disclaimer, and I am using the same disclaimer. So let me load that up, and we will listen to his explanation. Remember, let's go back now. This video is released on September the 27th, 2014. Thomas Paine, on September the 27th, 1759, married Mary Lambert. He married on this date. It's an interesting date. And I think a lot of these dates that we're seeing are going to line up as we get to looking more into Thomas Paine. A lot of these numbers and symbols and other things inside this, well, hidden, encoded, absolutely have a lot to do with Thomas Paine. But let's listen to this audio. This is an audio by YouTuber Copper. Well, let me see. No, that's not. I want to make sure I give attribution. Destruction of the Coded 2014 Georgia Guidestones block. I'll make sure that I give attribution after the playing of this. So here we go.
Okay, welcome back everyone. This is Mr. Cat Eye. In today's report, I'm going to be discussing the most recent activity at the Georgia Guidestones that has to do with that new 2014 block. It has been removed and destroyed publicly. And, well, anyway, I watched the video that showed it being removed, all the sides. I was able to, of course, capture all the numbers and the letters. And after reviewing the block, I was able to discern some things that I'm going to share with you now. Okay, first item up. The block was removed because we're told it was unauthorized. Now, law enforcement was there, so we have to presume that this removal was authorized with the permission of the property owners. Now, they're saying that it was a prank, okay? But it's not, and I'm going to be able to prove to you why. Now, there are those out there that noted on the block, the top had the letters MM, the bottom had the letters JAM, which spells jam, and on the sides, you had the numbers 8, 16, 20, and 14. Now, that 2014 side was the side that we saw once it was placed into position. And once again, just for the point of discussion, I want to re-emphasize that this 2014 side was important because this corner tip is where the two solstice sunrise cross. In other words, the precision alignment. And so this was no prank. Whoever did this had very precision, had knowledge of at least the solstice sunrises and the alignment that it creates. That's one. The block was precision cut, and the numbers were placed into position on the block in a manner that was coded. And this is what I'm getting ready to show you. Now, there are those that think the letters MM stand for Master Mason. And that would be a pretty good guess, because there are some fraternal and Masonic elements involved in this. But no, MM does not stand for Masonic Mason. MM is merely two letters that note the numbers 1313. Now, I'm sure anybody a lot of people have already drawn this conclusion, 1313. But what I'm going to show you, I know you haven't seen, because you would have had to have decoded the entire block and then worked your way to where I'm getting ready to show you. And since I can do that, I'm going to. It goes like this. The top side, as you can see, is